The Dark Reality of Divorce. Part 1. When Love Starts Breaking. Chapter 1. The Day Everything Changed. Helen was 72 years old. She lived a quiet life in California. For 30 years, she had been married to a man named Arthur. Arthur was 75. From the outside, their life looked complete. A long marriage, a stable home, no loud fights, no public shame. People believed they were lucky. But inside that home, something was slowly dying. Arthur had worked his whole life. He built a business with patience and effort. For many years, money came easily. Helen never worried about bills. She wore good clothes. She lived in comfort. Arthur made sure she never felt unsafe. He loved her. When Helen was sick, Arthur stayed awake all night. When she felt weak, he held her hand. When she cried, he listened in silence. He never complained. But time changes everything. The business began to slow down. Customers stopped coming like before. Money became tight. Arthur did not hide the truth. One evening, he sat beside Helen at the table. His voice was soft. His eyes were tired. "Helen," he said gently, "our money is less now. We must be careful. We must live simpler." Helen looked at him. Her face changed. She did not smile. "I cannot live like that," she replied. "I need comfort. I need security. I cannot give up my life." Arthur reached for her hand. "Helen," he said, "money is not everything. We still have love. Stand with me. That is enough for me." Helen pulled her hand away. Her voice became cold. "I don't want this life," she said. "If you cannot give me comfort, I cannot stay." Arthur felt pain spread through his chest. He whispered, "I stood with you in every storm. I cared for you when you were sick. I stayed when we lost our child. Please don't leave me now." Helen did not answer. Her heart was already somewhere else. She was thinking about another man. His name was Richard. He was 70. He was single, and he was rich. Helen told herself, "If I leave Arthur, I can live well again." Arthur looked into her eyes and saw distance. He tried once more. "We built this life for 30 years, he said. "I may not give you wealth now, but I can give you love." Helen stood up. "I want a divorce." The words felt heavy in the air. Arthur's hands shook. "After 30 years, he whispered, "you leave me now?" Helen looked away. The next day, Arthur brought the papers. He hoped she would stop. He hoped she would remember. But Helen signed quickly. Arthur cried quietly. "Helen," he said, "no one will ever love you like I do." Helen closed the pen. "I don't need love," she replied. "I need comfort." Arthur whispered, "Money will not hold you when you are weak. Only love can." Helen walked away. That night, Arthur sat alone in the dark. A marriage of 30 years ended, not with shouting, but with silence. Chapter 2. Choosing Comfort Over Love. Helen left the house without tears. She believed she was strong. She repeated to herself, "I made the right choice. I will not suffer." Arthur cried alone that night. He could not sleep. He whispered her name again and again. Helen prepared herself the next morning. She dressed carefully. She wanted to look confident. When she met Richard, he smiled. "So you are free now, that's good." His words made her feel light. "You can stay here," Richard added. "I'll take care of your expenses. We'll talk about marriage later." Later. Helen held on to that word. For weeks, life felt easy again. Richard gave her money, paid for her clothes, paid for comfort. Helen smiled proudly. She told friends, "I chose wisely." But at night, doubts appeared. She asked Richard once, "Do you love me?" He paused. "I like you," he said. "Love is a strong word." Helen forced a smile. "I can wait." But her heart felt heavy. Arthur, meanwhile, lived in silence. He ate little. He prayed quietly. Helen believed she had won. She did not know. This was only the beginning.
Part 2. When Promises Begin to Fade. Chapter 3. Words Without Meaning. Helen was now living in Richard's house. From the outside, her life looked comfortable again. Good clothes, enough money, no worry about bills. But inside her heart, something felt wrong. In the beginning, Richard was kind. He smiled often. He listened when she spoke. He gave money without questions. Helen told herself, "This is my new life. This is what I chose." She tried not to think about Arthur. She tried to forget his tears, his soft voice, his last words. But memories do not disappear easily. One evening, Helen sat beside Richard on the sofa. She looked at him carefully. "Richard," she asked softly, "do you really see a future with me?" Richard did not look at her. He replied calmly, "Why worry now? Everything is fine. I take care of your needs." Helen nodded, but that was not the answer she wanted. Days passed. Richard still gave her money, but his tone changed. Sometimes he sighed. Sometimes he looked annoyed. Helen noticed. She said to herself, "He is just busy. All men get tired." One night, she asked again, "Richard, do you love me?" He paused. Then he said, "You are a good companion, Helen. Let's not rush words like love." Her chest felt tight. She forced a smile. "Yes, of course. No rush." But inside, her heart whispered, "Why does he never say it?" That night, Helen lay awake. Richard slept beside her peacefully. She stared at the ceiling. She remembered Arthur's words, "No one will love you like I do." She turned away and whispered, "I didn't need love. I needed security." But her voice had no strength. Chapter 4. The Illusion Cracks. Time moved on. Weeks turned into months. Richard's behavior slowly changed. He answered calls later. He spoke less. He spent more time outside. When Helen asked for money, he gave it, but without warmth. "Again?" he said once. "I just gave you last week." Helen felt small. She replied quietly, "Yes, I understand." She went to the mirror that night. She looked at her face. Older, tired, worried. She whispered, "I have comfort, so why do I feel empty?" One evening, Helen gathered courage. "Richard," she said softly, "you once said we would talk about marriage." Richard's face hardened. "Helen," he replied, "don't pressure me. I will decide when I want." Her lips trembled. "But I gave up my marriage for you," she said. 30 years of my life." Richard leaned back. "That was your decision," he said coldly. "I never forced you." Those words felt like a slap. Helen went silent. That night, she cried quietly in the bathroom. She did not want Richard to hear. She remembered Arthur again. how he held her when she was sick, how he never raised his voice, how he begged her to stay. She whispered, "Did I mistake patience for weakness?" Arthur, far away, lived a quiet life. He grew thinner, but his heart was still gentle. Every night he prayed, "God, keep her safe, even if she never returns." Helen tried to stay proud. She dressed well. She smiled in public. She told friends, "Everything is fine," but her eyes showed fear. Richard now avoided her questions. When she touched his hand, he pulled away. When she spoke of feelings, he changed the subject. One night, she asked, "Do you want me here?" He replied without emotion, "Stay if you want, leave if you want." Her heart cracked. She thought, "I left love for comfort, and now I have neither." Still, she stayed. Pride held her back. She told herself, "He will change," but deep inside, she already knew.
Chapter 5. Thrown away without mercy. Helen kept waiting. She waited for Richard's promise to become real. She waited for love to grow. She waited for marriage. She told herself every day, "He will not break his word." But Richard was already gone, not in body, but in heart. He spoke less. He avoided her eyes. He stayed out late. When Helen asked questions, he grew angry. One night, she gathered courage again. "Richard," she said softly, "do you even care for me?" Richard laughed without warmth. "Helen," he replied, "I told you before, you are a good companion, that is all." Her body shook. "But you promised me," she cried. "You said 6 months. You said marriage." Richard's voice turned hard. "I never promised love," he said. "I said maybe, and now I have decided." Helen felt the ground disappear. "You cannot do this," she whispered. "I left my husband for you. I destroyed my life for you." Richard stood up. "You betrayed Arthur first," he said coldly. "You came to me for money. Now don't speak of betrayal." Those words crushed her. She fell to her knees. "Please," she begged, "I have nowhere to go." Richard pointed to the door. "Get out," he said. "Take your things, leave now." Helen cried loudly, "Please, Richard, I am old, I am weak." He did not listen. The door closed behind her. She stood outside with a small bag. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was empty. She whispered, "Arthur was right." Neighbors looked at her, some with pity, some with judgment. No one helped. That night, Helen had no bed, no food, no warmth. She sat alone and cried until her body hurt. "I had love," she whispered. "I threw it away." Chapter 6. Walking the road alone. Helen tried to survive. She knocked on doors. Friends refused her. "I have my own problems," they said. Hunger became her daily companion. She tried to sell her jewelry. The shopkeeper cheated her. "This is all it's worth," he said. She knew it was a lie, but she had no power. Her health grew worse. She was 72. Her body was weak. She searched for small work. No one wanted her. "You are too old," they said. One day, a young man fooled her. He took her last money and disappeared. Helen cried. "Everyone uses me," she whispered. She fell sick. No medicine, no care. She remembered Arthur again.
how he held her when she had fever, how he fed her with his own hands. She whispered into the air, "Arthur, forgive me." One evening she saw Richard on the street. She ran to him. "Please," she begged, "just a little help." Richard looked away. "You are not my problem," he said. He walked away. Helen stood frozen. "I am truly alone," she whispered. Winter came. She had no warm clothes. She shivered through nights. "Love would have kept me warm," she said. "Money left me cold." She fainted once on the street. No one stayed. She woke alone. "If I die here," she thought, "no one will know." Every night regret grew heavier. "I chose wealth," she whispered. "I lost everything."
Helen's body was weak. Her steps were slow. Her hands trembled. But her heart was awake. Every day, hunger reminded her of her mistake. Every night, silence spoke louder than words. She whispered again and again, "I was once a wife. I was once loved. Now I am nothing." Her mind returned to the past. Arthur's tired eyes, his shaking hands, his final words, "No one will love you like I do." She cried openly now. "You were right," she said. "I was blind." Guilt became heavier than hunger. "Food fills the body," she whispered, "but guilt eats the soul." She talked to the stars at night, as if Arthur could hear her. "I am sorry," she said, "for every tear you cried, for every word I ignored." Her pride began to break. She asked herself, "What is left for me?" One answer remained: forgiveness. One morning she stood slowly. Her legs were weak, but her decision was strong. "I will go to him," she said. "If he closes the door, I will accept it." Every step toward Arthur's house felt heavy. Fear walked beside her. What if he hates me? What if he refuses? Tears fell as she whispered, "I deserve it." But her heart pushed her forward. Chapter 8. Love Beyond Riches. Helen stood outside Arthur's door. Her hands shook. She raised them slowly and knocked. The door opened. Arthur stood there, older, thinner, tired. Their eyes met. For a moment time stopped. Helen fell to her knees. "I am sorry," she cried. "I was wrong. I betrayed your love." Arthur's eyes filled with tears. "Helen," he whispered, "you came back." She sobbed. "I lost everything," she said. "I lost money. I lost pride. I lost myself. But losing you," she added, "was the worst pain." Arthur bent down. He lifted her gently. "My love never died," he said. "Even when you left, I prayed for your safety." Helen cried harder. "How can you forgive me?" she asked. Arthur replied softly, "Because love is not a trade. Love does not keep score." She held his hand tightly. "If you take me back," she said, "I will live simply. I will never chase wealth again." Arthur smiled through tears. "Then stay," he said. "Let us live our days in peace." They stood together in silence, two old hearts, broken once, healed again. They had no riches, but they had something stronger: love. The final truth. Helen learned too late. Divorce does not always bring freedom. Money does not replace care. Comfort does not replace love. Arthur learned something too. Love that is true does not disappear, even when it is betrayed. Like this story? Subscribe and share your experience in the comments.